For over 2 years, the war in Ukraine has been defined by a single, unwavering rule. NATO provides the weapons, the intelligence, the training, but its own soldiers, its own jets, stay behind the line. But what if that line was erased? What happens if NATO goes from backing Ukraine to fighting Russia? Will it disrupt the entire Europe? This isn't just another front. This is the ultimate military escalation. It would be very dangerous and a hot war between history's most powerful military alliance and a nuclear-armed superpower with enough arsenals to end the world in minutes. Today, we will systematically map this scenario. We'll trace the triggers, the immediate explosions, the war's global spread, and confront its catastrophic endgames. NATO is a defensive alliance bound by Article 5. An attack on one is an attack on all. For NATO to fight directly, it needs a trigger. We see two paths, the unintentional and the intentional. First, the unintentional spark, a catastrophic miscalculation. A Russian missile targeting western Ukraine malfunctions and slams into a Polish town, killing dozens. Or a desperate Russian jet, chased by Ukrainian defenses, crosses into Romanian or Baltic airspace and is engaged by NATO patrols. These are accidents with the weight of an attack. The second path is intentional. A conscious, agonizing choice by NATO capitals sitting together. Imagine Ukraine faces imminent and catastrophic collapse. Or undeniable evidence emerges of an impending Russian WMD attack, a tactical nuclear strike. Faced with a moral abyss, NATO might vote to intervene to prevent genocide or nuclear catastrophe, even without a direct attack on a member. The trigger is pulled. Article 5 is invoked or a coalition acts. The world changes in minutes. Emergency summits in Brussels, Washington, and Moscow. Every second counts. Global markets go into free fall. Oil and gas prices skyrocket. Every stocks gets the volume. Diplomatic channels burn white hot. Ultimatums are issued. A full Russian withdrawal. The Kremlin, cornered, denounces a war of aggression by the West. All communication shuts down. As diplomats shout, the silent war machines move. NATO's first priority isn't sending tanks to Kiev. It's establishing dominance in the global commons, sea and air. Phase 1, the Black Sea Fleet. Based in Crimea, it's a prime, concentrated target. In a single night, a coordinated barrage of hundreds of cruise missiles, tomahawks from ships, storm shadows from aircraft, saturates its defenses. The goal is to sink the fleet in port and crater the runways in one decisive blow. Phase 2, the battle for the skies. You cannot move if you are blind. Warplanes everywhere. NATO's most advanced electronic warfare planes, the EA-18G Growler, the F-35, go to work. They don't just fire missiles. They inject malicious code and blast overwhelming noise to blind radars. This is suppression of enemy air defenses, opening a corridor for the heavy hitters. Once the corridor is open, strategic assets strike deep. Stealth bombers like the B-2 Spirit target command bunkers, logistics hubs, and long-range missile bases hundreds of miles inside the Russia. Russia cannot win a conventional stand-up fight against all of NATO. Its doctrine dictates you must escalate elsewhere. Stretch them. Raise the cost. Make it global. Front 1, the Arctic, Russia's strategic bastion. They immediately secure the Northern Sea route. Their submarine fleet, their most survivable nuclear deterrent, goes to sea, threatening the Suwalki Gap. Front 2, Kaliningrad, the unsinkable aircraft carrier. This exclave is a fortress. Its Iskander missiles are preemptively targeted, but not before some launch at Baltic capitals, Polish ports, and key infrastructure. This creates the single most critical and dangerous land battle on Earth, the race for the Suwalki Gap. NATO must rush armored brigades from Germany and Poland to this corridor before Russian forces in Belarus can punch through and cut off the Baltic states. Front 3. The global hybrid onslaught. This is total war. Cyber, a digital Pearl Harbor. Hackers target power grids, financial networks, satellite communications. Space. Satellites are jammed, dazzled by lasers, or even struck by kinetic killers. Proxy and disruption. In Africa and the Middle East, Wagner-like groups trigger crises, expelling Western forces, creating a global distraction. We now reach the core of this nightmare, the nuclear question. Russia's doctrine allows nuclear use in response to an existential threat. The debate is, does losing a conventional war in Ukraine qualify? To understand, we must climb the escalation ladder. Rung 1, the demonstrative strike. A single, low-yield tactical warhead. Detonated high over the Black Sea or on a remote battlefield in Ukraine. No city is destroyed. The message is pure psychological terror. We have crossed the nuclear threshold. Your move. NATO now faces its ultimate dilemma. Capitulate to nuclear blackmail or respond. The most likely, horrific response, a symmetrical counterstrike. One NATO tactical B-61 bomb on a comparable Russian remote military target. The taboo is not just broken, it's shattered. The world is in a limited nuclear exchange. Rung 3. Escalation. If Russia believes NATO's goal is regime change, it may strike NATO territory directly, but still limited. A major air base in Germany. A naval base in the UK. This is the escalate to de-escalate gamble, hoping the shock of nuclear strikes on NATO soil will finally force negotiation. This is the point of no return. The escalatory spiral has reached its peak. 3 nuclear detonations have occurred. 2 by Russia, 1 by NATO. Russian military assets on NATO soil have been vaporized. The alliance has been struck directly. In Washington, London, Paris, and Berlin, the question is no longer about Ukraine. It is no longer about the balance of power. It is about survival. Every radar installation, every early warning satellite, every listening post is on maximum alert. Because now, the Kremlin must assume that NATO's next move will be a full-scale, disarming counterforce strike against Russia's entire nuclear arsenal. The logic of use them or lose them takes hold. In this environment, with communication channels dark and trust evaporated, a single radar blip, a single misinterpreted satellite reading, a single piece of faulty intelligence could be the spark that ignites the final fire. The Russian president is faced with the ultimate nightmare. Launch a full-scale retaliatory strike against the United States and Europe before his own silos are destroyed in their holes, or wait and risk being disarmed, leaving his country defenseless. And, simultaneously, in Washington, the same calculus unfolds. NORAD confirms a massive Russian launch. The threat conference assessment shifts from unlikely to severe to enemy launch confirmed. There is no time for debate. There is only protocol. The decisions are made. There is no turning back. Within minutes, the order is given. Silo hatches across the American Great Plains below open. Ohio-class submarines, hidden in the deep ocean, fire their payloads. Bombers, already airborne, turn towards their assigned targets. Across Russia, the same scene unfolds in reverse. From the forests of Siberia, from the Arctic tundra, from the depths of the Barents Sea, Russia's strategic arsenal rises to meet them. In space, thousands of miles above the panic, the warheads passes each other. Each one a city killer. Each one on a precise, ballistic arc towards its designated target. Then the first impacts. Within 30 minutes of a launch order, the warheads begin to arrive. Not in a trickle, in a deluge. Washington, D.C., the seat of American power. The White House, the Capitol, the Pentagon, gone in a flash, replaced by a crater and a fireball that rises miles into the sky. Moscow, the Kremlin, St. Basil's, Red Square, a similar fireball, a similar crater. The heart of Russian governance and history erased in an instant. New York, London, Paris, Berlin, St. Petersburg, Kiev, the great cities of the Northern Hemisphere, centers of culture, commerce, and human life for centuries, are systematically annihilated. The targets are not just military. They're the arteries of civilization itself. This is not a war. This is extinction, not of the human species, perhaps, but of the modern world as we know it. The global economy, the internet, the interconnected systems that sustain 8 billion people, gone in under an hour. In the days that follow, a gray, ashen cloud spreads across the Northern Hemisphere. The sun dims. Temperatures plummet. Scientists call it nuclear winter. Survivors, huddled in bunkers or in remote areas untouched by the blasts, will emerge to a world that has been turned back centuries, poisoned, frozen, and silent. There are no victory parades. There are no treaty signings. There are no winners. There are only the consequences of a failure of statecraft so profound that it ended history. So why we walk through this nightmare? Why spend this time mapping the unthinkable? For 75 years, NATO's core purpose has been to make a direct war with Russia so unimaginably costly that no one dares start it. By confronting the worst-case outcome, we see why that deterrence is held, even in the darkest moments of the Ukraine war. The defining lesson of the 21st century is that nuclear-armed great powers cannot fight limited wars. Escalation cannot be controlled, and any conflict risks spiraling into the unthinkable. The unthinkable must remain so, not because we are afraid, but because we understand. Thank you for watching.